Welcome to the gold standard, Making Millions with Malia, the place to be for conscious CEOs and light leaders who know that they have an enormous mission that requires millions to fuel it. I am your host, Jennifer Longmore, Clear Channel for Mother Malia, along with being a long-standing 8-figure CEO, investor, and board advisor who is committed to creating as many conscious millionaires as I can in this lifetime, and to debunk the broke healer paradigm that tells you it is not benevolent to make millions doing spirit-led work. We are in the midst of individual and collective ascension, and as we ascend, so must the way that we do business and money as light leaders. That is what this show is all about. So tune in now and find out why we are ranked in the top 5% of global podcasts and why savvy CEOs just like you binge our show each week and share it as a high-value resource with their communities. Now let's dive into today's Making Millions broadcast. Welcome back to the Gold Standard Podcast, Making Millions with Mother Malia. We are entering part 3 of the income stream, New Earth income stream creation series, I suppose I will call it, and supporting you in really allowing yourself to be fully financially resourced for your New Earth mission. And so today we are going to talk about the 3 pillars of New Earth money stewardship. It's really the founding principles of your income stream strategy, portfolio, ecosystem, etc. I want you to filter all of your decisions through this, of course, if it resonates. Now, I'm just finding fancy words, but really, when I explain to you what my logic is, it will help you to see which parts of your portfolio need to be beefed up, and will allow you to start considering what you want to invite in to allow this to happen. So the first part of the pillar, if we imagine it holding up the foundation, of the building that you're creating, or the money garden, or whatever we want to call it, is create. We're creating money. So you can create money through your business, your core business. You can create money by sharing other people's products or services, etc., and getting an affiliate commission. That typically isn't recurring, right? That is something where you're doing something to allow money to come to you. And it's likely coming in a one-time thing, or perhaps it's recurring, but you get what I mean. You're creating it. Joining an MLM can be another way that you create money. And yes, you might be getting paid month after month, but you created that. You can create a book and sell it. You can create products and sell those. These are all ways that we create money. And creating money is not really challenging, but we do find that we have to unhook from any hardship, anywhere that we have been programmed that money is hard. And there's a lot of things that contribute to this. First of all, if you are neurodiverse, I see you, I speak your language, meaning I am part of the neurodiverse community, I suppose we will say. I like to call it neurodivinity, because I really do see that we are wired to be, and this world requires us to do, and our brains don't necessarily know what to do with that, I know it's a little more complex, and I also don't really like labels, by the way, but all of this to say that folks that have, whether it's diagnosed or not, you likely suspect that you have, let's say, autism or ADD, ADHD, a whole host of different labels that are out there. It is very common for people to have money blindness. And so that can be a contributing factor to creating money, because your brain isn't wired to look for those opportunities. And then, of course, if we have mindset stuff as well around money has to be hard, etc., we can only see the opportunities that match our capacity to actually see them, if you get what I'm saying. I'm able to see very different opportunities now than when I was in my 6-figure self, for example. They weren't on my radar. They could have been right under my nose, smelling lovely, you know, a whole bunch of signs pointing toward them saying, this income opportunity is for you. And I just will not have seen it if I didn't have the capacity to see it at that time. We all know this journey. It's similar to re-listening to a podcast or rereading a book. We pick up things the second time that we didn't the first time, right? Because we're in a different energy. Another thing to consider is that the system that we are a part, the system you've heard me talking about that we're dismantling, has very intentionally, from a very young age, programmed you to make numbers problems. Think about math. How many years were you forced to take math? It was an actual requirement, even when you got into, let's say, high school. At some point, you still had to take it until you were allowed to not take it anymore. I believe for me, it was around after grade 10. And then if I wanted to take math, it would be considered an elective instead of a core class. Think about all of the years, all of the quizzes, all of the repeated programming that numbers are problems. They're problems to be solved. And if, as we ascend, which I didn't mention in the last episode, but I want to bring up here, is that as we're leaving the problem paradigm, which is the old world, as you ascend out of that, it is going to be more and more challenging for you to solve problems. That's why we need to be focusing on what are we creating. And so if numbers are a problem to be solved and you no longer have resonance with problems, and money is just a bunch of numbers strung together, then it kind of makes sense that we would have this push and pull relationship with money. And so even in sharing that, how can you allow numbers to be more playful? Where can you find the joy in numbers? You know, if a lot of healy-feelies, I say this playfully, of course, because I do identify as that as well, I suppose, on some level. We talk a lot about frequency. Oh, this frequency 444 does this to your brain, and these binaural beats do whatever. And we can actually find a lot of joy in numbers. Okay. I don't know what it's going to be for you, but if this resonates that numbers are programmed to be problems and money is just a bunch of numbers strung together, then how do we unhook from that? And then, of course, we have trauma, which can compound our capacity to receive for all of the reasons I went over in the trauma series, which hopefully you've listened to. But if you haven't, you'll be able to easily find that in the podcast. Then we have, of course, all of the programs, all of the parental patterning, all of the societal programming, etc. There are a lot of things that are coming at us that interfere with our capacity to create money. Because in the simplest terms, you could create $20 right now. You could go knock on your neighbor's door and say, let me shovel your snow. Let me look after your children for 2 hours. Let me clean your house. Hopefully you're not doing that, by the way, for $20, but you know what I mean. We actually know how to create money and create it quickly. All of these competing programs and, different ways our brains work, etc., can give us hiccups, I suppose, with that. So if we look at how do we create money, we can create that in all the ways I just shared. And creating money is great, but that's just one pillar. Wouldn't it be nice if you moved into pillar number 2, which is compounding? Taking that money and putting it to work, turning money into your employee. So you no longer serve money or time, frankly, for that matter. They are not your masters. You master them. They work for you. They are here to serve you. So, for example, in my business, in my core business, I take a gargantuan percentage of the money that comes in through that business and I put it to work. Why would I just create it one time when I can keep expanding more and more and more of it? So I take a gargantuan percentage of that income because, of course, I already know how much I have to set aside for taxes. I already know how much I need to set aside to ensure the machine of the business, I suppose you could say, works, and additionally paying my amazing team members, etc. Right? I don't even pay myself a large salary. Why? I don't actually require that much to live on. I put the rest to work. So let's just say for ease, if I have $1,000 coming in, do I want to just have $1,000 or do I want to find a way to turn that into $10,000 without any effort and have it be fun? Now, this is an easy example because this isn't always going to be the case. But for example, if I have $1,000, do I want it just sitting in the bank or do I want to put it into stocks and have it turn into, I don't know, $2,500? Now, if I have 10,000, that means I've turned it into 25,000. If I have 100,000, that means I've turned it into 250,000 with no effort, because this is part of creating. Creating is a little more effort, isn't it? But compounding is effortless. Most people have not been able to master this area, and there's no judgment. Because look at how heavily we are programmed that money is the root of all evil. Money is going to do this and that to you. You can't have more as long as someone else is suffering. And there's all kinds of things which we can talk about another time, I suppose. The effortless way to make even more of what you desire, which is money, is to find ways to put it to work. You could put it into crypto. You could put it into real estate. You could put it into hard lending. These are just examples I'm giving you. But instead of just creating, say, $10,000, why don't we make that $10,000 go find a way to appreciate itself, to compound itself, which is pillar number 2, compounding. I've got to tell you, it's very liberating and also a very accelerated way to build true financial freedom when you're not just always, when you separate effort from income, when you separate the belief that I have to earn what I have, when you look for ways to keep expanding, expanding, expanding. And this actually feels very good for light leaders because this is what we're all about, is expanding, helping others expand, expanding, ascending, evolving, etc. It's very stagnant to just create money, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when I create money, by the way, I don't just create it for the sake of creating it. I'm already wondering, what am I going to do with it? To give you an example, I think you'll enjoy this. I don't really like casinos. I'm not judging it. I don't mean that because it's just an energy. But if you've ever been to one, you know the energy can be quite heavy in there. And well, it's not rigged in your favor. Let's put it that way. Just like the economy and just like the stock market. So we have to find ways to out create the game. That's a part of why I'm doing all of this, to help you out create the game. So many years ago, my husband and we were away. I'm not even going to say where because again, I've already shared with you that not everyone listening to this podcast is a friend of the family, so to speak. But we were away, and I kept getting this relentless nudge to go to the casino. And first of all, I didn't go to this location, which was a beautiful location, to go and hang out inside, let alone hang out inside in a casino. But this nudge was so relentless. Now, on my plane ride to this location, I was really setting a lot of intentions around wanting to exponentialize money, wanting to learn even more about money, etc. So I'm giving you that because it's no wonder that this casino kept nudging me, because it wasn't really the casino, of course, it was well, my highest self, I suppose. And so I said to my husband, I just keep getting this relentless nudge to go to the casino. Now, he actually likes them more than I do. He can really have a good time at a casino, but we're both, we're well aware of the game that we're playing. And even he said, look, I don't know if I'm really in the mood. I said, look, I'm not trying to leave you high and dry, but I'm going to have to find a way to get to this casino because this is one of those nudges. And when I get this type of nudge, and I know you get what I mean because you've had them too, it just won't leave you alone until you satiate it. And it's not until you satiate it, you say, oh, no wonder I had to honor this nudge. So he said, okay, I'll trust you because I know these nudges and they've served us both very well. I said, yes, I know. So he came with me And I see this big line forming, and I know nothing about the line. There's no signs or anything. I just say, oh, I'm supposed to be in that line. And I'm in this line, and they're giving away free stuff. They're giving away free pens and stuff. And, it's fun to get free things, of course. But they were giving out these scratch cards. And if you scratch these cards, that's the amount of money the casino will give you to play. So I'm already aware of the game. I'm already aware that they're hoping that if I have free money, then I'll just keep spending more of my own money, etc. And I get the game. But each of us we won $500 to go and play. And instantly I saw my husband's face, and I know his relationship with money. And I said, oh, he's just going to spend this as free money. He's not understanding. I said, nope, we are not doing that. We are going to find a way to compound this money, and we're going to walk out with way more than $500. It sounds like a simple example, of course, because you might be thinking too, oh, just go have fun with it. Well, we did. In fact, we could have stayed and stayed and stayed. We had basically casino fatigue. I don't even know how long we were in there, but we compounded the bejeebers out of that money. We were in there for, geez, I've got to think 4 or 5 hours. Like, it was getting exhausting, not to mention as well, people were smoking in there, and I'm very sensitive to cigarette smoke. So we could have stayed, and we could have probably even doubled or tripled what we left with, because we were in the energy of how are we going to compound this, right? So we ended up with thousands of dollars. And as we started making more money, we started going into maybe some of the bigger games, maybe the $5 slot machines, etc. I know it sounds kind of silly, but that's just a playful example. But imagine if you were always in the energy of, if I'm going to create this money, how am I going to compound it? So that it's not just a one and done situation. Or if it is, if you, let's just say for ease, you promote someone to your community, and that person makes a ton of sales, and you get a $10,000 one-time affiliate commission from them. That's lovely money, isn't it? Most people will say, oh my God, $10,000. This is free money. What am I going to do with this? I'm going to go get new headshots. I'm going to go buy a new car. I'm going to spend 10,000 on Facebook ads. And there's nothing wrong with any of that, believe me. That's just feeding the old system. I have to spend money to get more money. No, I want you to create in the spirit of compounding. So you say, great, I got this $10,000 commission check. How am I going to put it to work? Am I going to put it into the stock market? Am I going to buy a certain amount of crypto? Am I going to get into some real estate deals? And by the way, once you come into my inner circle, which is free in my Facebook group, I'll be introducing you to my exact strategies, my exact portfolio, my exact resources, human resources, and other resources to help you. And I do have a real estate person, well, actually more than one, that I work with. And you can get into the real estate game with little to no money. You can get in with there's certain strategies you can get in with 10,000. You put it to work, and maybe you get a 20% return, right? That's kind of nice. Or just effortlessly moving it somewhere and letting it go to work for you. So that is the compounding piece. There's a lot of examples, but I've given you some just to get your brain working to see, do you even have these existing in your income stream ecosystem? What do you have in your portfolio? And where are there vacancies that you would like to fill, I suppose? Yeah. And then the third pillar is cherish. So I don't want to give too much away again, because not everyone is family that listens to this podcast. But let's just say the government likes to, they're very interested in me. Let's put it that way. And I'm not the only one. And what can happen is they create nuisance audits, or they can just keep asking for documents that you've already sent them. And I mean, it's hilarious, because if you have uh, given me my tax return based on the documents I've given you, like, how did you come up with that number if you didn't have the documents? But if you keep asking for documents, then am I to understand that there's a security breach in my account? Like which one of these shady beings are you, right? But the point is, there can be a lot of reasons to cherish your money because we're going to see more and more silly business on the world stage as it comes to money. We are going to see fake security breaches. We are going to see the government coming for more and more of the money. We are going to see, like we have seen with the ecocide situations, where magically insurance companies cancel the fire component of their insurance policy 4 months before there's magically a fire in a certain area, burning down people's homes. Right. So this also means that we need to stay up to date on the policies that you're subscribing to, because the insurance world is their world, it's not ours. But there are a variety of ways that we need to cherish the money that we have. If you think of money as a friend, and you think of friends in your life, have you noticed that the people that you tend to cancel plans on, or the people that you see a text come in and you say, ugh, I don't know if I want to respond to that right now. It's on some level, it's because you don't feel cherished by that person. You don't feel like you can be yourself around that person. If we apply that same kind of logic to money, money really likes to stay around when it's being appreciated, just as we all like to be appreciated. And it's not to subscribe human tendencies to the money. It's just to say that there's ways to cherish it. If we want to move out of just receiving money and holding money and being in financial overflow, cherish is an essential pillar to your New Earth money stewardship. This could mean creating a trust so that you possess everything, but you don't own anything. It's really hard to come after someone for something if they don't own it. That's a legal loophole. To create a holding company for your bigger company. So again, there are strategies to insulate your money when you have a holding company. Diversifying, like we're kind of talking about through all of this, right? You don't want all of your eggs in one basket. And most people do, even many 7 and 8 figure business owners, because I coach them, are only making money through their business. They don't have other ways. They might have a million income streams within the business. That's great. But again, what if something happens to that business? Then what? So there are a lot of ways to cherish your money, and even simple ways to show that you cherish your money. Negotiating for a better rate for your car insurance or your life insurance or your cell phone plan or your internet plan, etc., etc. I don't want you to spend all of your money, or sorry, all of your energy and time on that, because that can be, like we don't want to be chasing pennies, so to speak. But where it makes sense, every so often, it's not so much about saving $100 a month that is the real issue. It's about the fact that your money says, oh, you are actually willing to be my steward. You're willing to cherish me. You're willing to make sure that I'm not being wasted, that I'm not being disrespected, that there are better ways to be provided for, and it responds in kind. So these are the 3 pillars of New Earth money stewardship: create, compound, and cherish. These are things that inform my income stream strategy, my ecosystem, and my actual portfolio. I vet everything through this. And as you could hear, I spend a great deal of time saying, great, money's come in. How am I going to compound it? That is why I have the money that I have now. And part of this, if you think of a piece of pie, or like a whole pie, I shall say. Let's say you have a piece of pie and you want more. What have you been programmed to receive? You're greedy for wanting more. You already had one, that's enough. You already had $1, that's enough. Yeah, but what if I could have more than $1? Well, that means you're greedy. That means you're selfish. That's impossible. You're not old enough. You're not responsible enough, etc., etc. There'll be all kinds of hidden programs that may bubble up for you as you think about compounding. And those very things are the reason why you're not compounding your money if you're not already doing that. And if you are, congratulations. So you already get the concept and you already know that, hey, why not just keep doing more and more of this? The version of me that started compounding, is a different version than now, you might be thinking to yourself. So yes, you're going to see other ways to compound your money that you just didn't see before because you didn't have the capacity to see it, just as, I went through that journey as well, as I mentioned. So I hope that this was of high service. Again, we're laying the foundation. I promise you that all of this is really essential to prepare you for income stream strategy. I have been at this for 21 years, coaching people around having more money. They come into my world because they want more money and end up spending a great deal of time and energy dancing around all the reasons they can't have it. So I'm really trying to pave the path for you to be truly open to create, compound, and cherish way more money as a New Earth money steward. And hence the reason why I have to lay this foundation, have to lay this path first, so that when we drive the vehicle into, the area where we go over the actual ecosystem, that you can really receive it and just go to town. So I'll leave you with this for now. I hope this was of high service, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening. Before you go, if you would like to have a chance to have your name and business featured on the Gold Standard podcast, hop on over to where you listen to this podcast and leave a review. If you're selected, you'll have your name and business featured on our show. And in the meantime, we wish you tons of financial blessings, and we'll see you soon for the next Making Millions transmission from Mother Malia.